Hello, young artists. Today I'm going to show you 6 ways to get the element of art space into your landscapes. Let's get started. I'm going to use a Sharpie today so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to fill these boxes up. I've already filled one in. I'll label it for you in just a second. You're going to be drawing this in your sketchbook. I'll show you exactly how I did it in my sketchbook at the end of this video, and then we're going to be looking at some artwork that uses some of these ideas. So the first idea is linear perspective. It's a lot to write. I'm going to write it here, and you'll write it later in your sketchbook. Linear. This has the word line in it, L-I-N-E, so I'm going to be using lines. Perspective is about how we see things. Spec, I think, is a root word for to see. Like I'm wearing glasses. An old-fashioned word for glasses is spectacles. I'm wearing my spectacles so I can see. Linear perspective uses lines. This is a horizon line, so this will be sky, this will be land, and I'm going to use 1 point perspective, and then I'm going to use lines from this 1 point, and I can make a road. That looks like a road. It could be a river on flat land. It could be a sidewalk. I'm going to make a dotted line or a broken line, just like the kind that's painted down the middle of a highway. I would start out big right here, skip a space, and then I want to make this smaller until it's just little dots like that. That's using linear perspective. In this block, I'm going to use overlapping. I'm going to put one thing in front of another to give it a sense of space. So here, I'm going to draw an apple with a stem and a leaf, and then behind it, I'm going to draw another one, and you can't see all of it. So I've got overlapping. This one overlaps this one, and I could put in the edge of a table right there. So this would be the wall, and that would be the table. The next idea I'm going to use to get space, let me write the element of art, space, right here. And I'll show you some art in a minute that doesn't have any space. I'm going to use two sizes, large and small. I'm going to put it in a space. Could be a table or it could be a horizon line. And this is using size, a large object and a small object, to show depth or space. This one is very similar, and we call it placement. And I've got more to say about this one in a minute. And I'm going to add a very simplified shape for an evergreen tree. And then I'm going to make one bigger. This also uses size, but I want to talk more about the placement here. And I'm going to give it a background that is not flat. So that's a horizon line. This one is lower inside this box. So it's lower. This one is up higher. So I've arranged where they are, and that little technique is called placement. I'm going to save this one for last. This one I already filled in because it took me a few minutes to draw this. But this idea for creating space in your artwork is called detail. And the detail here is the texture and the detail of the leaves and the branches in this tree. And these trees, I just kind of sketched in really quick with a marker because they're farther away and you would not see as much detail. This is something that you can use in any kind of landscape that you might be drawing. This one I'm going to use value and color. I'm going to use crayons, maybe just one color actually, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about value. I'm going to reach for a small color wheel. You've seen a color wheel like this before. It has the three primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, and then the secondary colors, orange, green, and purple or violet, and then the intermediate colors in between. These are the colors that have two names. We'll talk more about this another day. I'm going to flip this over and we're going to talk about value. This is value. It's the lightness or darkness of a color. Now, you may not have a big set of crayons or paints or markers. That's okay. I'm going to show you how to get value or a lightness or darkness with just one crayon. I'm going to flip this over, and here we see different values from light to dark, from light to dark, from light to dark with a single, just one color. So a light shade or color or tint of red is pink, and then a dark shade of red would be kind of like, we might call it burgundy or maroon, and this we might call it a light blue or a baby blue, and this would be a navy blue. So I'm going to use a blue crayon, and I'm going to use color and value to create a landscape in here. And the way that I get a light value is I just color it in very lightly. I'm not using much pressure. I'm resting my hand on the paper right here, and I'm just barely moving it, and I'm being very soft. I'm not pressing hard at all to make this color very light. Now I'm gonna add another hill or mountain, and I'm just gonna press a little harder. You can always start out light and go back and add another layer of crayon. I'll even show you how to get rectangles on your sketchbook page or on your paper. I'm pressing a little harder here than I did here. And now down here, I'm gonna make a line and I'm gonna press. I'm pressing really hard. And here's just a little reminder, if you're going to put a lot of pressure on your crayon, remember, don't hold it up here. It's just wax, it will break easily. So hold it down low if you're gonna put a lot of pressure on it. And this makes this darker. And sometimes with crayons, we don't think about ways to get a different looking color out of the same crayon, but you can, and you can blend colors too. Now, the sky is white, so what I might do, I don't know if this yellow is going to show up very well. Yellow does not show up very well sometimes on white paper, but I might color that in like a sunset. And I can overlap a little bit down there in that yellow. And then if I wanted to leave clouds, I could just leave part of my paper white. We're going to go over some more words really quickly. I'm going to show you what your sketchbook should look like, and I'm going to show you what your sketchbook maybe should not look like. So I want to talk about some more art. I'm going to move this to the side. I'm going to put it, or maybe put it up here. This is a painting by Piet Mondrian, and it does not have space. It has other elements of art. It has line, it has shape, it has color. I mean, it does have some space, but it's very flat. So we want to show depth in our artwork. So I want to show you another painting. This is by Claude Monet. This is, of course, a landscape. It is also, you could say it was a seascape. We have a strong horizon line here. We have ships and tugboats, and we have sailboats. And this artist has used a lot of these ideas to show space in his painting. He doesn't have linear perspective. He does have some, maybe a little bit of overlapping in here. For example, this flower overlaps. This is like a hedge or a bush that's growing back here. This lady is in front of that. He's also used size. Look at this umbrella. Look at this umbrella. Look at the difference in the sizes. Look at the difference in the men's hats. Look at this sailboat. Look at this sailboat. And then way back here, you barely see it. So the artist has used size. The artist has also used placement, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. And I've got some new words for you. Maybe you already know these words. We have the background. We have middle ground. And we have the foreground. I'll show you where these are. The foreground is always at the bottom. It's the things that are in the front, like your forehead. The middle ground, well, that one's easy. That's in the middle. And then the background, that's kind of easy too. These are the things that are up the highest and are the farthest away in a landscape. When you do your sketchbook, what we're trying to get away from is a drawing like this. So this does have space, but it doesn't show sizes in the way that kind of copies nature or reality. This tree and this tree are about the same, but this one looks like it's on top of a mountain. Well, that mountain would be very far away. And you wouldn't see a house like that. A house on the mountain would be very, very tiny. You might not even see it, kind of like these ships and sailboats back here. When you make these 6 ideas for space in your sketchbook, it should look like this. My sketchbook is a little bit bigger than a regular notebook that you would use for school. And I want to show you how I got these rectangles in here. I just took a box of crayons. This is a box of 24. And I just traced that box, and that gave me my 6 rectangles. And then I used each one of these ideas in here. And I want you to label it. You should spend at least 15 minutes maybe drawing out these ideas and labeling each one. And at the top, you should write what it is in your sketchbook. And today we are using the element of art space. So we're learning how to use space in our artwork. I have a photograph of a place in the Everglades. I'm going to put this up really close. This is the cover of a book, of course. It's a collection of photographs. And this uses some of the ideas that we talked about. We have linear perspective when the sides of this river in the swamp kind of come together and form a triangle, just like linear perspective there. We have the grass. There's great detail here. And then there's less detail back here where the trees are. This is the foreground. This is the middle ground. This is the background. So in a photograph of nature, it still shows some of these ideas that we have about space. Get that into your sketchbook. We'll talk more about color next time. I'll see you soon.